Bag talk. The visit. The night started quiet inside Smurf's little restaurant, quiet in that comfortable way he liked. The smell of fried catfish drifted out the kitchen, plates clattered, and the regulars sat at the counter arguing about basketball like they always did. But the air shifted the second the tall men in dark coats stepped inside. Smurf felt it immediately, the cold presence of trouble. They didn't ask for a table. They didn't greet nobody. They just scanned the place until their eyes locked onto Smurf like predators who finally spotted their prey. Smurf, the lead man said, voice low, accented and heavy with authority. We need to talk about Mr. Leon and the money he owed. Smurf swallowed hard. Mr. Leon was gone, disappeared, maybe dead, and whatever debt he left behind was apparently still alive. The second man stepped forward, gold rings glinting on his knuckles. He owed us big. His disappearance interferes with our business. That makes you and your boy responsible. Smurf's stomach dropped. Fat Boy, now calling himself Big Man, arrived minutes later. When he walked in, the two visitors barely blinked. You two cost us, the lead man said. You will fix it. You'll come to Mexico. We will talk about how you make this right. Smurf felt a familiar pull in his chest. The old life tugging at him like chains he thought he cut long ago. Fat Boy just nodded. Say less, a bag is a bag. Smurf closed his eyes. He already knew this would be the beginning of the biggest split of their lives. In Mexico. The jet dropped into Mexico like a metal bird falling toward fire. Heat smacked them in the face when they stepped off the plane. The cartel compound sat beyond the desert, wrapped in walls and guarded by men with heavy guns. Inside, at a long table carved from a single slab of cedar, the boss waited. Not the mid-level men from the restaurant. Not the tough guys from the streets. This was the one they called El Patron del Norte. Fat Boy Big Man looked excited. Smurf felt sick. The boss stared at them for a full minute before speaking. Mr. Leon stole from us, he said. He died before repaying. That debt is now yours. We will give you an opportunity to work. You will transport shipments, collect money, handle our interests. Big Man leaned forward. Sounds like a lot of money. Smurf stepped back. I came to clear the air, he said, not dive back into that. The boss's eyes pinned him. You cannot just walk away from responsibility. Smurf swallowed. I'll pay what I owe, but I'm not built for this anymore. Big Man shot him a look of disbelief, half betrayal, half anger. The boss finally nodded. Very well, the big one stays. The small one goes home for now. And that was the day the two brothers by bond walked down two different roads, one toward a normal life, and one toward a life where danger whispered with every dollar earned. Two lives. Back home, Smurf returned to his routines, early mornings, flipping eggs, cleaning tables, serving locals. He breathed easier every day. Stress left his shoulders like dust shaken off a jacket. Life felt simple again, something he never thought he'd crave. He fixed up his mother's house, bought her a better car, took evening walks, slept with the windows open. Meanwhile, Fat Boy Big Man dove into the world he always admired from afar. He expanded the detail shop, opened a clothing boutique, a check-cashing place, got into loans, flipping properties, hiding money behind normal-looking storefronts. His suits got sharper, his circle grew stronger, his pockets heavier. But with every new business, every dollar washed clean. The streets took another bite out of his soul. He moved with security now, rode in bulletproof trucks, slept with one eye open. Smurf would see the news, shootouts in states Big Man visited, robberies, disappearances, and he'd feel his chest tighten. He didn't want that life anymore, but he still cared for his brother. The visit. One humid night, Smurf was wiping tables when the restaurant door opened and Big Man stepped in. A tailored gray suit, designer shoes, A gold watch that looked heavy enough to break a wrist. 2 security guards trailing behind like shadows. Smurf laughed. Damn, oh you big time now. Big man smirked. I'm still the same. Nah, Smurf said, shaking his head. You wearing suits and moving with security just to stop by a fish joint. I know, Big Man admitted. It's crazy, but I actually came to drop something off. He slid a duffel bag under the table, heavy. The zipper strained from the weight. $500,000, Big Man said quietly. $500,000. If anything happens to me, you and your mom move out of town, start fresh. Live good. Smurf froze. What you mean if anything happens? What you done got into now? Big Man looked away, voice dropping to a whisper. I made a mistake. Took an order for 100 of them things, fumbled the delivery, I owe them, and they not patient men. Smurf cursed under his breath. Bro. I'm going to fix it, Big Man said, no matter what it takes. Smurf watched him walk out, surrounded by guards, swallowed by the night. That was the last time Smurf saw his friend alive in peace. The warpath. Back in Mexico, the cartel bosses were furious. Big Man's mistake cost them millions. They ordered a hit immediately, clean, quiet, final. But Big Man didn't die easy. Instead, he went on a rampage. California, North Carolina, Florida. He tracked down every man involved in the setup, every middleman who sabotaged his delivery, every traitor who whispered behind his back. Bodies dropped. Money moved. Rumors spread of a big-built American who hit back harder than any outsider they'd ever seen. He called Smurf nightly. Got another one today. They close, I can feel it. If I don't make it, remember the bag. Every call made Smurf's stomach twist. Then came the night someone followed Big Man as he drove through Georgia. A hitman, silent, skilled. But Big Man spotted him in the mirror before the ambush. Gunfire exploded under a moonlit highway. Cars swerved. Tires screamed. A bullet tore into Big Man's shoulder, but he kept firing until he dropped the assassin where he stood. Then he searched the man's pockets. A note, stamped with a familiar symbol from Mexico. The kill order had come from the very men he once worked for. Smurf's turn. Smurf had tried to stay clean. He really had. But when he heard about the hit, when he heard the fear in Big Man's voice for the first time, something old and dangerous woke up inside him. He opened the duffel bag, peeled back the stacks of money, and made a decision he swore he'd never make again. He hired people, bought weapons, secured safe houses, prepared for war. He wasn't doing it for money. He was doing it because he couldn't let his brother die alone. The meeting. The cartel demanded another meeting. Big Man refused to fly back to Mexico. So they agreed to meet on U.S. soil. In a warehouse at the edge of a dead industrial zone, the air thick with dust and tension, the confrontation finally happened. Smurf walked in beside Big Man, fully ready for bloodshed. But instead of an ambush, the cartel's top shooter stepped forward and bowed his head slightly. You, he said to Big Man, are resourceful, dependable, capable of handling anything. The attempt on your life came from incorrect information. The person responsible has been dealt with. Smurf and Big Man exchanged baffled looks. So what now? Big Man asked. You work with us, the shooter said. Full trust, full access, full bag. Big Man didn't hesitate. He nodded. Smurf exhaled sharply, the kind of breath that carries disappointment, fear, and heartbreak all at once. The split. Driving home, Big Man was wired with excitement. We on top of the world now, he said. This is the big league. Smurf stared out the window, numb. Do we gotta keep going through this? We got enough money. "I can't hear you," Big Man said, tapping his ear. "The bag talking to me." Smurf looked at him, eyes full of pain. "I love you, bro, but I'm out." Big Man shouted back, half joking, half manic. The bag talking louder. But the truth was this. Big Man was losing himself. Piece by piece. Dollar by dollar. Fall of the Big Man. The next 3 years were a spiral. Big Man grew richer, but also paranoid, addicted to risk, obsessed with money, even when he already had more than most people could dream of. Until the day federal agents kicked in his door. Tax fraud. Money laundering. Conspiracy. 3 years locked down. He still ran his businesses from behind bars, but the throne wasn't his anymore. On the outside, something surprising happened. Smurf grew powerful. Quietly, legally, smartly. He built connections, influenced politicians, expanded his restaurant empire, became respected, feared in a clean way. So when Big Man called from jail one night, the jealousy dripped through the phone line. "Oh, now you the man, huh?" Smurf chuckled softly. "I learned from the best. Make it home, bro, we good." Homecoming. When Big Man's release date finally came, a black SUV waited outside the prison gates. No one spoke during the ride. No one explained anything. They drove straight to the airport, then straight from the landing strip to a massive gated property surrounded by oak trees. Big Man stepped out confused. "This ain't no resort." Smurf stepped forward smiling. "It's your house." Big Man blinked. "My what?" "Your house," Smurf repeated. "Paid in full and we set." Big Man swallowed hard. How we got like this?" Smurf leaned back, hands in his pockets. "I used my head, took 10% off every load from the US to Canada. Quiet, clean, smart. We 100 million up now." Big Man's mouth fell open. Smurf clapped his shoulder. "All that chasing bags, all that money talk, you ain't even see what we had right in front of us." Big Man didn't speak at first. For the first time in years, he was quiet. Truly quiet. And in that silence, Smurf knew the war was finally over. The last bag. Later that night, sitting on the balcony overlooking his new property, Big Man whispered into the wind. "Maybe the bag ain't worth dying for." Smurf laughed softly beside him. "Welcome home, bro." The two sat there in peace. No guns. No enemies. No cartel. No street politics. Just two men who survived the world. And finally learned how to live above it. The bag talked. But they finally learned when to stop listening. Empire rising. The jet engines were still cooling on the tarmac when Big Man stepped out, blinking into the sun. He expected a security checkpoint, maybe a blacked-out SUV. But instead Smurf stood there in sweats and a hoodie, smiling like he had just won the lottery. In a way, he had. "Welcome home," Smurf said, arms spread wide. Big Man looked around. "Home, this some type of joke, where the hell we at?" Smurf nodded toward the hillside villa behind them. Massive glass windows, infinity pool, palm trees swaying like they'd been paid to be there. "Your house, bro. Well, our house. Depending how long you plan on being free." Big Man froze. Smurf quit playing, how? Smurf clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You spent your life chasing the bag. I spent mine learning how to make the bag chase me." Inside, the villa smelled like new leather and cold AC. Big Man dropped his duffel and walked through the house like a ghost, touching marble counters, checking views, opening doors just to close them again. He didn't smile, not fully, but the boy inside him did. 100 million, Smurf repeated. 10% from every shipment going north. I didn't touch product, didn't meet suppliers, didn't run the streets. I just used my head. Big man sat on a velvet chair, silent. Smurf leaned forward. Bro, we finally made it. Big man's face didn't change. That depends what you call made it. New money, old habits. The next few months moved like a dream wrapped in silk. Smurf became what the city called the Quiet King. He wore simple clothes, ate at the same restaurants, spent time with his moms. He didn't do interviews, didn't flash jewelry, didn't move with 10 security guards. He moved like a man who understood the value of being underestimated. Big man, on the other hand. Suits, private drivers, meetings, parties with politicians, late-night calls with foreign businessmen who didn't care where he had been locked up, only what he could deliver. He still ran the detail shops, still oversaw the clothing boutiques, still had his hands in the check-cashing spots. But now everything got bigger, louder, richer, and dangerous. Smurf warned him more than once. You start standing next to wolves, they gone forget you human. Big man brushed it off. Relax, I'm the one controlling the room. But Smurf saw the shift. Big man wasn't chasing a bag anymore. He was chasing power. And power was hungrier. The meeting that changed everything. It started with an invitation. A heavy envelope. No return address. Just a gold symbol pressed into the wax seal, a circle divided into 3 sections. Smurf recognized it instantly. Canadian side. High level. Quiet but lethal. He opened the note carefully. We want to talk, expansion east. Bring your partner. Smurf exhaled and shook his head. He didn't want this life anymore. But big man. He read the letter once and grinned like a wolf who smelled blood. Bro, this is it, the next level. Smurf stared at him. You keep climbing ladders built by killers. You ain't scared of heights yet. Big man looked offended. I've been to Mexico and back. Cali, Florida, Carolina. Survived all of it. You think some Canadians scare me? Smurf didn't answer. But he felt something in his gut that didn't sit right. The Canadian play. The meeting took place on a yacht off the coast of Vancouver. A silent floating mansion guarded by men who didn't speak. Inside was the Trident Council. 3 older businessmen in suits so gray and sharp they looked carved from stone. They studied big man like he was a young bull they might buy or kill, depending on the weather. The leader, a man named Dorian Vale, tapped a gold pen. You're ambitious, Dorian said. Reckless, dangerous, but effective. Big man leaned back, confident. I get results. Dorian's eyes narrowed. That's exactly what concerns us. Smurf stayed silent, watching everything, the guards, the exits, the way big man's pride filled the room like smoke. Dorian continued. We want a pipeline south, quiet, clean, invisible. You would manage our American interests. Big man sat forward. You want me to run your whole operation. We want you to be a tool, Dorian corrected. Nothing more. Big man's jaw tensed. He didn't like being talked to like a weapon. Smurf spoke up. We appreciate the offer, but we don't need to expand, we're good. Dorian barely looked at him. You misunderstand, this is not a request. Big man's fingers curled on the table. Smurf knew the look. Pride, rage, ego. The bag was talking again. The break. They argued the entire flight home. Big man packing the jet aisle. Why'd you speak for me? Smurf didn't raise his voice. They want to use us, bro. I want to be used, big man shouted. That's how you climb, that's how you get a bigger bag. Smurf stared at him like he didn't recognize him. You hearing yourself. Money got you acting like you don't bleed. Big man stepped closer. What you scared of? Smurf didn't blink. I'm scared of burying somebody I love. Silence. Then Big Man said quietly, I can't stop, Smurf. I hear it every day, that bag calling me. Smurf nodded slowly, heartbreak forming quietly inside him. Then we done here, I'm out. And just like that, the empire split in half. The fall of Big Man. The Trident Council demanded results. Big Man scrambled to build a pipeline, buying property, bribing officials, hearing muscle. He made enemies in every state he touched. Some nights he called Smurf, just talking fast, paranoid, violent. Bro, these Canadians ain't playing. I gotta keep moving. Smurf always answered, even when he shouldn't. Then one night, Smurf heard gunfire through the phone. Big Man screaming. Tires screeching. Later, Big Man explained. They sent a hit after me, but I handled it. He told me it came from Dorian. Smurf swallowed hard. This meant war. He opened the $500,000 Big Man had left him months ago. Started stacking weapons. Hearing hitters. Investing in moves he never wanted to make again. He wasn't protecting an empire now. He was protecting his brother. The twist. The council called for negotiations in the U.S. this time. Smurf and Big Man planned an ambush. But when doors opened, only one man walked in, the council's top shooter. He sat calmly, hands folded. You two are very resourceful. Rarely do Americans survive when we make a mistake. Smurf frowned. Mistake? The shooter nodded. We received false intel. It has been corrected. Meaning, someone else died for setting Big Man up. Then the shooter bowed his head slightly. Dorian Vale wants to offer you a partnership. 50-50. Big Man's eyes lit up. Smurf closed his. This wasn't salvation. It was temptation. The bag talks too loud. Big Man exploded after that. More meetings. More deals. More danger. He wasn't sleeping. Wasn't eating. Just planning. Counting. Expanding. Obsessing. Smurf watched from a distance with a sinking heart. One night, Big Man said, We on top of the world, bro. Smurf whispered, Do we gotta keep going through this? We already set. Big Man grinned wildly. I can't hear you, the bag talking to me. Smurf stared at him. I love you, bro, but I'm out. The bag talkin, Big Man shouted louder, laughing. Smurf left the room. He knew this was the beginning of the end. A consequences. The feds hit Big Man like a hurricane. Tax fraud. Money laundering. Conspiracy. 3 years locked down. But even inside, Big Man ran things, ordering moves, calling shots, still chasing the bag from behind bars. Meanwhile, Smurf built power quietly. He negotiated smarter. Built relationships. Cleaned money the right way. And soon he controlled 10% of every northern shipment. He became the Ghost King. Influential. Untouchable. Respected. Release day. Big Man stepped out of prison wearing state-issued clothes and arrogance. A black SUV pulled up. Smurf wasn't inside. Just 2 drivers and a plane ticket. Hours later, Big Man landed at the villa again. Smurf stood waiting, older, calmer, richer. Big Man squinted. Oh, now you the man, huh? Smurf smiled. I learned from the best. Welcome home. Big Man looked confused. Bro, what is all this? Smurf walked him inside. All that chasing, all that killing, all that running, you ain't gotta do that no more. Big Man frowned. How we got all this? Smurf turned to him with quiet pride. I used my head, 10% of everything from the US to Canada. We 100 million up. Big man dropped into a chair, speechless. Smurf sat across from him. No more Mexico. No more suits. No more shootouts. We done. Big man whispered. For real. Smurf nodded. For real, bro. The bag talk don't control us no more. Big man closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he heard silence. The rise of the Ghost King. When peace feels strained. Big man tried to sleep the first night back home, but peace felt like an unfamiliar room with no corners. No threats. No sudden phone calls. No footsteps running up behind him. The villa was too quiet. Smurf found him in the kitchen at 3 a.m., staring out the window at the moonlit pool. You good? Smurf asked. Big man chuckled humorlessly. You ever been too safe, it feel wrong. Smurf sat at the counter. It ain't wrong, it's rare. Big man exhaled deeply. I ain't used to rare. Smurf patted the seat next to him. It'll come, give it time. But Big man wasn't sure he had time. He wasn't sure he had peace left inside him at all. The offer. Peace lasted exactly 6 days. On the 7th, an envelope arrived. No name. No address. Just a black wax seal, a triangle over a crown. Smurf recognized it instantly. They're back, he whispered. Big man raised a brow. Who? The Crown Syndicate, Smurf said softly. Old money, older power, they don't run streets, they run governments. Big man grinned, half amused, half terrified. They want us. They want me, Smurf corrected. They only sent it 'cause they know you home. Inside was a single card. Your presence is required. Montreal, midnight. Come alone. Big man scoffed. They bold. They're above bold, Smurf replied. They don't ask, they summon. Big man shook his head. You goin'? Smurf sighed. If I don't, they'll come here, and they don't visit empty-handed. Montreal, midnight. Montreal in winter looked like a postcard dipped in fear. Smurf entered an abandoned church lit only by candles. Inside waited Madame Vilo, the syndicate's matriarch, a woman with silver hair and eyes cold enough to cut steel. Mr. Smurf, she said, voice smooth as ice, or shall I call you what the streets call you? Smurf swallowed. I don't know what they call me. Madame Vilo smiled slightly. The Ghost King. Smurf froze. She continued. You move without being seen. You profit without being traced. You influence without being recognized. That is a king's skill, but a ghost's power. Smurf said nothing. Madame Vilo leaned forward. We want a partnership. I'm out, Smurf said immediately. She raised a hand. No, you're done with chaos, violence, loose ends. We offer control. Structure. Legacy. Smurf's heartbeat slowed. Legacy. She placed a briefcase gently on the table. Inside, a single USB drive. This contains every competitor we intend to remove within the next decade. Move with us, and your empire becomes world scale. Smurf closed the case. I said I'm out. Madame Vilo nodded with eerie calm. Very well, but remember, if you don't choose a kingdom, someone else will choose it for you. The storm returns. Back home, Big Man waited on the patio, sipping whiskey. Well, he asked. Smurf sat down, exhausted. They want me to run international routes, white collar, clean, politicians and CEOs type of business. Big Man whistled. That's big. Smurf rubbed his temples. I said no. Big Man froze. Why? Because I'm done. That life eats people alive. Big man sighed, staring into the night. You sure about that? You a king, Smurf, they even said so. Smurf ignored the compliment. He just whispered, Big man, I don't want to be a king. I just want to be free. But freedom, he was beginning to realize, came with its own price. The RUMBLINGS. Within 2 weeks, things started happening. A politician who owed Smurf disappeared. A warehouse connected to Big Man caught fire. A Canadian rival went missing. Rumors spread that a ghost was cleaning house. Smurf noticed the pattern. Big Man didn't. He was too busy enjoying freedom, going out, rebuilding relationships, checking on his businesses. One night, Big Man said, You ever think maybe you can't outrun destiny? Smurf frowned. What destiny? Big Man tapped his chest. That weight you carry. Everybody sees you as the quiet one, the thinker, the one who moves the whole board. Smurf shook his head. I ain't nobody's boss. Big Man laughed. Tell that to the world. The council RETURNS. Then it happened. Dorian Vale, the Canadian Trident leader, showed up unexpectedly at Smurf's villa. No call. No warning. He just walked into the backyard like he owned the place. Big Man jumped up ready to fight, but Smurf raised a hand. Dorian smiled. I see prison didn't dull your temper, Big Man. Big Man snarled. What you want? Dorian looked at Smurf only. Congratulations, he said. Smurf blinked. For what? For becoming the syndicate's heir. Smurf stood slowly. I turned them down. Dorian shrugged. And they accepted your refusal as a temporary inconvenience. Smurf's stomach dropped. Dorian walked closer, gaze sharp. You're their chosen one, the one they expect to lead the North. Big Man coughed. The hell does that mean? Smurf whispered. It means if I don't take the throne, they'll kill whoever does. Big Man sat down slowly, the reality sinking in. You ain't out, Smurf, he murmured. You never were. The war of silence. Smurf spent the next month handling threats he didn't ask for. Bribing judges. Fixing border deals. Blocking assassins from hitting rivals. Keeping shipments moving quietly. Clearing Big Man's old debts. He became what the world demanded. A king who didn't want a crown. Meanwhile, Big Man grew restless. He saw Smurf's influence. Saw how people feared him. Saw the respect he got without lifting a gun. Big Man loved his brother, but hated being in his shadow. And shadows only grow when kings rise. The crack. One night, Big Man snapped. You run everything, he said, and I'm just what? Your soldier. Smurf shook his head. You my brother. Big Man slammed a glass. Nah, I'm your cleanup. I'm the muscle while you make decisions behind closed doors. Smurf's voice softened. I didn't ask for this throne. Big Man pointed at him aggressively. But you sittin' on it anyway. Smurf whispered. Do you hear yourself, bro? This ain't about power, it's about survival. Big Man shoved him. You took him why spot? A long silence. Smurf stepped back, hurt deeper than any bullet Big Man ever took. Big Man, the streets don't have spots. Just graves. Big Man stormed out without another word. The choice. Smurf knew what the syndicate wanted. A ruler. A leader. A ghost king. But he also knew what he wanted. His brother back. So he made a decision that shocked everyone. He called Madame Velo. Take your throne, she said immediately. Smurf exhaled shakily. No, I'm stepping away for good. I have enough money, enough power, enough enemies. Silence. Then Madame Velo said, You misunderstand. We chose you. That is not undone. Smurf closed his eyes. I'm done choosing violence. She spoke softly. Then violence will choose you. The Ghost King rises. The syndicate made one final move. They eliminated every rival who challenged Smurf. They cleared territory. They cut off dissent. They even protected Big Man from an assassination attempt. By the end of the month, Smurf realized the truth. The syndicate wasn't asking him to lead. They were forcing the world to treat him as if he already did. He had become king without lifting a finger. And there was no way out. Big Man returned home that same night, beaten, bloody, humbled. He collapsed on the villa steps. Bro, he whispered, I'm sorry. Smurf carried him inside. Big Man cried quietly. I wanted to matter. Smurf hugged him tightly. You matter because you my brother, not because of what you run. Big Man rested his head on Smurf's shoulder. So what now? Smurf looked out at the moonlit water. Now, we rule smart. Not loud. Not violent. Not stupid. Let the world talk, let the bag talk. But we talk louder. Big Man nodded. You the king now? Smurf smirked. No, I'm the Ghost King. And for the first time in their lives, they were on top without bullets flying. But peace never lasts. Not when the world has crowned you. Not when you didn't ask to be crowned. Not when the bag keeps talking. War for the crown. The crown hunt begins. Smurf woke to 3 missed calls and a text that made his blood run cold. They took Dorian. The Canadian Tridents. The last faction still refusing to bow. Big Man rushed into the room. Bro, you see this? Smurf nodded. This ain't random. They talking out anyone close to me. Big Man cracked his knuckles. So what's the move? Smurf stared at the phone. We end this for real. But even he didn't know how deep this war went. Not yet. The new player. Montreal. Night. Snow blowing sideways. Smurf and Big Man entered an old warehouse where only one man waited. Kaivoss, the syndicate's youngest enforcer. Barely 25. Sharp suit. Eyes dead like a shark. You're late, Kai said without looking up. Big Man bristled. Watch your tone. Smurf held up a hand. Kai, why are we here? Kai finally looked up. Because someone is trying to steal your crown. Smurf stepped closer. I never wanted a crown. Kai smirked. Which is exactly why they think they can take it. He tossed a folder on the table. Inside, photos, maps, names. A shadowy symbol burned onto every page. A circle split in half. The Havers. Smurf frowned. I thought they were disbanded. Kai shook his head. They were waiting for you. The Havers' message. Later that night, Smurf and Big Man returned to their villa. The front door was open. Big Man drew his weapon instantly. Smurf moved quietly inside. No enemies. But on their kitchen table sat a single silver mask, split down the middle. And a note. You were chosen. We reject the choice. Kings fall, ghosts can be killed. Big Man grabbed the mask and smashed it. They want war, they got one. Smurf didn't respond. He was already analyzing every detail. The Havers weren't street runners. They were strategists. Assassins. Ghosts that hunted ghosts. And they had just declared open war. Betrayal in the syndicate. The next morning, Smurf returned to meet Madame Velo. The entire syndicate council was present, something that almost never happened. Smurf, Madame Velo began carefully. There's been a development. Kai stood in the corner, arms crossed. Smurf noticed tension in the room. What happened? Smurf asked. Velo slid a small tablet across the table. Security footage. Smurf pressed play. The video showed a syndicate vault, 2 guards unconscious, a masked figure stealing a black briefcase. The mask was split in half. The Havers had infiltrated the syndicate. Velo said quietly, "They stole the sovereign list." Smurf blinked. "Explain." Kai stepped forward. "It's a list of every high-value target worldwide connected to us. If the Havers leak it, every government on Earth will be hunting you, and anyone tied to you." Big Man cursed under his breath. Smurf stared at the screen. This wasn't war. This was execution. Big Man's side mission. While Smurf planned next steps, Big Man took matters into his own hands. He left a note. "Gone to Montreal, don't follow." He headed straight to the Canadian underground, a place where information cost blood or money, and usually both. He asked for the name everyone feared. Where? Jackson Vale. Dorian's younger brother. The one who hated Smurf the most. The one rumored to be working with the Havers. The bartender froze. "Big Man, if you go after him, it's suicide." Big Man leaned in. "Good, then he won't see it coming." SMURF's countermove. Back at the villa, Smurf wasn't sitting still either. He called the one person even the syndicate didn't cross. The archivist. A man with files on everyone. A ghost even the ghosts feared. When he answered, his voice was dry, old, and calm. "Smurf, I wondered when you would call." "I need intel on the Havers," Smurf said. The archivist paused. "That will cost you." "Money." "No. A secret. A real one." Smurf hesitated. Then he whispered something the archivist didn't expect. Silence. Finally, the archivist responded. "Consider the debt paid. I will send what you seek." Smurf ended the call. Whatever secret he gave up, it was something he never wanted Big Man to know. Big Man vs. Jackson Vale. Big Man tracked Jackson Vale to an abandoned hotel near the border. Jackson waited with 2 men. "You alone?" Jackson sneered. Big Man cracked his neck. "You asking or praying?" Jackson smirked. "You think the Havers need you alive?" Big Man shrugged. "I think they need you scared." The fight was violent. Raw. Personal. Big Man slammed one guard into a wall. Elbowed the second in the throat. Then he and Jackson went head-to-head. Fists. Blood. Broken glass. Jackson spit blood and laughed. "You don't even know what war you walked into." Big Man grabbed him by the collar. "Then tell me." Jackson grinned with missing teeth. "The Havers don't want Smurf dead." Big Man froze. "They want him crowned. The real enemy." Smurf received the archivist's file. He read the first page. Then the second. Then the third. His hands began to shake. The Havers weren't trying to stop him. They were created for him. By the syndicate. Decades ago, a prophecy, not mystical but strategic, was written by syndicate founders. One will rise who refuses power. And because he refuses, power will gather to him. He will be king, wanted or not. The Havers were a failsafe. Their purpose? To remove anyone who challenged the Chosen One. And force the Chosen to ascend. Smurf whispered, "They were never my enemy." He realized the truth. The real enemy was the syndicate itself. Big Man returns. Big Man staggered into the villa, bleeding but alive. "Bro," he gasped, "they ain't trying to kill you, they trying to crown you." Smurf nodded slowly. "I know." Big Man dropped into a chair. "So what's the plan?" Smurf picked up the silver split mask from earlier. He turned it over in his hands. Then he said, "We kill the syndicate." Big Man stared. "All of them?" Smurf's eyes were cold, calm, decided. "All of them. The war begins." Midnight. Smurf and Big Man drove toward the syndicate's main compound, a fortress protected by mercenaries, cameras, drones. Big Man checked his gear. "You sure we can do this?" Smurf nodded. "They think I'm their king." "Good. Kings walk into rooms no one else can." He placed the silver split mask on his face. Big Man wore one too. Tonight, they became the Havers. Not to serve the syndicate, but to end it. The gates opened automatically when Smurf approached. The guards bowed. The world thought they were witnessing the rise of a king. They had no idea they were witnessing the start of a purge. Smurf whispered, "Let's finish this." And they stepped into war. Book 6, The Last Syndicate. Chapter 1, The Night of Purge. The gates of the syndicate compound opened like the jaws of a beast. Smurf and Big Man walked through the steel corridor, masked as Havers, slipping through shadows while the compound security bowed unknowingly. The masks were their protection and their camouflage. Inside the main hall, syndicate delegates gathered around a towering conference table carved from obsidian. Holographic maps lit the walls, shipping routes, cache corridors, offshore vaults. Madame Velo sat in the center, flanked by armed guards. "Welcome," she said. "The council has been expecting you." Smurf stepped forward. Big Man whispered under his breath, "You ready?" Smurf didn't answer. He removed the mask. Gasps rippled through the room. "Smurf," Velo said softly, "you should not be here." He slid a USB drive onto the table. "You created the Havers," Smurf said, "to control my rise, to eliminate options, to force my hand." The delegates shifted nervously. Velo's expression never changed. "We protect the syndicate and the future king." "I never asked for a crown." "No one ever does," she whispered. Smurf stepped back. "So I'm removing the throne." Big Man pulled two guns from his jacket. Madness erupted. Chapter 2, Council of Blood. The first shots cracked the mirrored wall, glass raining across the table. Delegates dove for cover. Guards scrambled, returning fire. Smurf moved like he'd been born for moments like this, silent, fast, precise. He didn't kill all of them, just the ones who'd built the Havers. The architects. The manipulators. The ones who had controlled their lives, from behind numbers and offshore accounts. Big Man flipped the table and used it as cover. "This what kings do," he yelled. Smurf ducked behind a fallen column. "No, this is what free men do." Madame Velo didn't run. She watched, calm, hands folded in her lap as the council fell around her. "You cannot destroy a Smurf," she said. "You kill the body, but the syndicate is an idea." Smurf placed a pistol against her forehead. "Then I'll kill the idea." He pulled the trigger. The room fell silent. Only Big Man breathing heavy, smoke curling off his weapons, and Smurf standing still as stone. It wasn't victory. It was the beginning. Chapter 3, The Aftermath. By dawn, the syndicate compound burned behind them. Big Man limped to the SUV, fresh bullet graze on his arm. "Tell me we finished," he said. Smurf shook his head. "Killing the council won't stop what's coming. The Havers won't stand down. The lower factions will panic. Everyone's going to think we took control." "You didn't kill them to take control." Smurf turned the keys in the ignition. I killed them so I could walk away, but now everyone thinks I'm the new king. Big Man laughed weakly. So what now, King Smurf? Smurf stared ahead. We disappear. Big Man smiled. Yeah. After we clean up the world first. Big Man's smile faded. Oh, that kind of disappear. Chapter 4: The Havers Return. 2 days later, 3 men in split masks stood outside Smurf's villa when he arrived. Smurf stepped out of the car alone. The leader removed his mask. It was Kai Voss. Bold move, Kai said, killing the council. Smurf folded his arms. You knew they wanted me on the throne. Kai nodded. I didn't agree with it. You are meant to lead because you choose to, not because they push you. I'm not leading anyone. Maybe not, Kai said, but now every faction across North America believes you are, and they want answers. What do you want, Kai? A choice. Kai stepped forward, lower his voice. You either dismantle the syndicate or replace it. Smurf didn't blink. I choose neither. Kai smiled sadly. There is no neither. The world won't let you step back. Power already moved. You're not fighting for rank anymore. He pointed toward the horizon. You're fighting for survival. Chapter 5: Big Man Slips Away. While Smurf dealt with the Havers, Big Man quietly rebuilt the old machine. He moved money, reactivated connections, bought warehouses, reopened old tunnels. Smurf confronted him that night. You building an empire again. Big Man exhaled. I'm building insurance. You think after Mexico, after the council murder, after the Havers mask show, you think the world going to leave you alone. I don't want a throne. You got one anyway. Smurf stared at him. Bro, I don't want to lose you. Big Man looked at the floor, voice cracking. You ain't losing me. But when that war hits, and it's coming, I want us ready. Smurf shook his head. You ready for war? I'm ready for peace. Big Man looked up. That's why we balance each other. The last syndicate. The night of purge. The gates of the syndicate compound opened like the jaws of a beast. Smurf and Big Man walked through the steel corridor, masked as Havers, slipping through shadows while the compound security bowed unknowingly. The masks were their protection and their camouflage. Inside the main hall, syndicate delegates gathered around a towering conference table carved from obsidian. Holographic maps lit the walls, shipping routes, cash corridors, offshore vaults. Madame Velo sat in the center, flanked by armed guards. Welcome, she said. The council has been expecting you. Smurf stepped forward. Big Man whispered under his breath, You ready? Smurf didn't answer. He removed the mask. Gasps rippled through the room. Smurf, Velo said softly, You should not be here. He slid a USB drive onto the table. You created the Havers, Smurf said, to control my rise, to eliminate options, to force my hand. The delegates shifted nervously. Velo's expression never changed. We protect the syndicate and the future king. I never asked for a crown. No one ever does, she whispered. Smurf stepped back. So I'm removing the throne. Big Man pulled 2 guns from his jacket. Madness erupted. Council of Blood. The first shots cracked the mirrored wall, glass raining across the table. Delegates dove for cover. Guards scrambled, returning fire. Smurf moved like he'd been born for moments like this, silent, fast, precise. He didn't kill all of them, just the ones who'd built the Havers. The architects. The manipulators. The ones who had controlled their lives, from behind numbers and offshore accounts. Big Man flipped the table and used it as cover. This what kings do, he yelled. Smurf ducked behind a fallen column. No, this is what free men do. Madame Velo didn't run. She watched, calm, hands folded in her lap as the council fell around her. You cannot destroy a Smurf, she said. You kill the body, but the syndicate is an idea. Smurf placed a pistol against her forehead. Then I'll kill the idea. He pulled the trigger. The room fell silent. Only Big Man breathing heavy, smoke curling off his weapons, and Smurf standing still as stone. It wasn't victory. It was the beginning. The aftermath. By dawn, the syndicate compound burned behind them. Big Man limped to the SUV, fresh bullet graze on his arm. Tell me we finished, he said. Smurf shook his head. Killing the council won't stop what's coming. The Havers won't stand down. The lower factions will panic. Everyone's going to think we took control. You didn't kill them to take control. Smurf turned the keys in the ignition. I killed them so I could walk away, but now everyone thinks I'm the new king. Big Man laughed weakly. So what now, King Smurf? Smurf stared ahead. We disappear. Big Man smiled. Yeah. After we clean up the world first. Big Man's smile faded. Oh, that kind of disappear. The Havers return. 2 days later, 3 men in split masks stood outside Smurf's villa when he arrived. Smurf stepped out of the car alone. The leader removed his mask. It was Kai Voss. Bold move, Kai said, killing the council. Smurf folded his arms. You knew they wanted me on the throne. Kai nodded. I didn't agree with it. You are meant to lead because you choose to, not because they push you. I'm not leading anyone. Maybe not, Kai said, but now every faction across North America believes you are, and they want answers. What do you want, Kai? A choice. Kai stepped forward, lower his voice. You either dismantle the syndicate or replace it. Smurf didn't blink. I choose neither. Kai smiled sadly. There is no neither. The world won't let you step back. Power already moved. You're not fighting for rank anymore. He pointed toward the horizon. You're fighting for survival. Big Man slips away. While Smurf dealt with the Havers, Big Man quietly rebuilt the old machine. He moved money, reactivated connections, bought warehouses, reopened old tunnels. Smurf confronted him that night. You building an empire again. Big Man exhaled. I'm building insurance. You think after Mexico, after the council murder, after the Havers mask show, you think the world going to leave you alone. I don't want a throne. You got one anyway. Smurf stared at him. Bro, I don't want to lose you. Big Man looked at the floor, voice cracking. You ain't losing me. But when that war hits, and it's coming, I want us ready. Smurf shook his head. You ready for war? I'm ready for peace. Big Man looked up. That's why we balance each other. The new enemy. A week later, drones hovered over Smurf's estate. A message broadcast across every screen. The council is dead. North America is mine now. Prince Oro. Smurf frowned. Who the hell is Prince Oro? Kai swallowed hard. He's not part of the syndicate, he's above it. Above? Kai nodded. The syndicate was global. Oro controlled the European quarter, the gold routes, the private banking sectors. He was the only one the council couldn't touch. Big Man stepped beside Smurf. So what's this prince want? Kai stared at the screen, jaw tight. Control of the Western Hemisphere. And to do that, he has to kill you. Smurf sighed. Great. Kai wasn't finished. He already moved troops. South America pledged to him, half of Europe. He has a navy of cargo ships, private armies, and digital assassins. Big Man crossed his arms. So, another war. Kai nodded. A bigger one. Smurf rubbed his temple. Man, I'm tired. Big Man clapped him on the shoulder. Then let me lead this one. Smurf shook his head. No, if Oro wants me. He slid his gun into his waistband. Then I'll go to him. The new throne. Smurf, Big Man, and Kai boarded a private jet headed toward Lisbon, where Prince Oro was assembling a summit. Smurf looked out the window. I didn't want a crown, he muttered. Kai adjusted the silver Haver mask in his lap. No king ever does. Big Man smirked. But you got one anyway. Smurf glanced at both of them. You know this could be suicide. Big Man shrugged. Good, then they won't see it coming. Kai added quietly. We're not going to negotiate, are we? Smurf shook his head. We're going to end this. The jet climbed higher. Toward battle. Toward a global enemy. Toward a crown Smurf never wanted but could no longer outrun. Big Man leaned back, whispering. King Smurf. The summit of death. The private jet descended through Atlantic fog, engines humming like a warning. Below them, Lisbon's Black Port, a secret dockyard owned by European elites and politicians who smiled in public and ordered assassinations in private. Smurf stared out the window. Ships, gunboats, armored black SUVs, hundreds of masked enforcers lining the docks. Big Man whistled low. Boy, they prepping for war. Kai Voss nodded. Prince Oro doesn't gather armies unless he plans to burn a continent. Smurf cracked his neck. Good, let's ruin his day. The jet wheels screeched onto the runway. When the doors opened, 50 soldiers in gold-trimmed armor raised rifles in unison. A path opened, leading to a glass tower overlooking the ocean. At the top of that tower stood Prince Oro. White suit, gold rings, eyes like someone who killed his own conscience years ago. He smiled when Smurf stepped forward. America's accidental king, Oro said. Welcome. Smurf stepped closer, fearless. I didn't come to kiss rings. Prince Oro's smile dropped. Oh, I know, you came to refuse my offer. Kai tensed. What offer? Oro turned his back, staring out at the ocean. Smurf, you killed a council that served me for decades. You exposed weaknesses in my empire. You showed me the truth. He turned. You were never their puppet. That makes you dangerous but useful. He slid a golden folder across the table. A deal, rule North America under my crown. I give you armies, ships, safe corridors. You become my right hand. Big Man's jaw clenched. Smurf's voice was cold. And if I say no? Prince Oro shrugged. I erase you. A dead man's choice. Smurf didn't open the folder. He lifted it, tossed it into the fireplace behind him, and watched it burn. Prince Oro didn't blink. So be it. Gold-armored guards stepped forward, tightening their grips on polished rifles. Kai slowly reached for his masked blade. Big Man whispered. Smurf, please tell me you got a plan. Smurf smirked. I've got you too, that's enough. Prince Oro raised a gloved hand. Kill them. The room erupted. Kai spun with blinding speed, slicing the first guard's throat. Big Man ripped a rifle from another, firing a burst that shattered the glass balcony. Smurf dove behind a marble pillar as bullets carved the air. Prince Oro slipped through a gold-plated exit door. Coward, Big Man roared. Smurf grabbed Kai by the collar. Forget him, we need to move now. They fought their way down the tower, 3 floors at a time, smashing through stairwells, shooting through door frames, exploding fire doors as alarms wailed. By the time they reached the docks, helicopters were lifting off. Weapons loading. Troops assembling. Prince Oro had prepared for war long before they arrived. Smurf glared at the sky. This ain't a local beef anymore. This is global. Big Man cracked his knuckles. So we go global too. Alliances of blood. Back in the States, chaos spread. Cartels split. Syndicate remnants demanded loyalty. Rival crews saw opportunity. But Smurf had allies too. The Havers, East Coast Triads, the Montreal Shadow Brokers, the Iron Wolves of Detroit. Not because they loved Smurf, but because they feared Prince Oro more. Kai assembled them in an underground hangar. We're not forming a gang, Smurf told them. We're forming a resistance. The leaders looked at him. You speaking like a king, one Triad rep said. Smurf shook his head. I'm speaking like a man tired of being hunted. Big Man stepped forward, placing crates of Oro weapons on the table. He coming to kill all of us, so either we stay divided or we send him back across the ocean in a box. The room fell silent. Then one by one, they knelt. Smurf cursed under his breath. Man, get up, I don't need followers. Kai smiled. But you have them now. Oro's first strike. 48 hours later, Prince Oro made his move. A cargo ship disguised as a tourist liner sailed into Miami, carrying 200 soldiers and a mobile missile launcher. They attacked at sunrise. Explosions rattled the coast. Neighborhoods fell into chaos. Government forces were overwhelmed. But Oro didn't know one thing. Smurf and Big Man had intercepted the radio chatter hours earlier. They were waiting. Smurf led the counterattack from a black armored truck. Big Man drove straight into enemy lines, firing through the windshield as Kai dropped soldiers from rooftops with a sniper rifle. The battle lasted an hour. Bodies on sand. Smoke rising into orange sky. They fought their way aboard the ship until they reached the engine room. Smurf planted charges. Kai lit the fuse. Big Man shouted, "We taking down his whole damn army." The ship exploded, flames towering high enough to reflect in the glass towers downtown. Prince Oro's first strike had failed. But he wouldn't stop. Smurf wiped blood from his forehead. "He gonna make this personal," Big Man said. Smurf nodded. "So will I." The King's rise. In the weeks that followed, Smurf seized ports, intercepted gold shipments, destroyed Oro's U.S. bases, recruited hundreds of elite fighters, locked down financial routes from Vancouver to Panama. Whether he liked it or not, Smurf had become king of the underground Western Hemisphere. People whispered it. Factions saluted it. Enemies feared it. Big Man watched him one night, sitting in a war room with maps and encrypted feeds. "You look like a king now." Smurf didn't smile. "I look like a man who ain't slept in days." Big Man leaned forward. "Bro, you know where this ends." Smurf nodded slowly. "With Oro dead." The final hunt. They flew to Europe with a 40-man strike team. Prince Oro was hiding in an underground fortress beneath a decommissioned metro line in Spain. Smurf led the infiltration. Tunnel by tunnel. Room by room. Gun by gun. Finally, in a candle-lit chamber filled with gold idols and digital servers, they found him. Prince Oro stood alone. No guards. No army. Just him. "Smurf," he said softly. "You survived everything I sent. You earned the throne." Smurf's eyes were ice. "I don't want thrones, I want peace." Oro opened his arms. Peace is earned by killing me, so do it. Smurf raised his gun. But Big Man stepped between them. Let me do it, Big Man whispered. For everything he caused. Smurf hesitated, then lowered his weapon. Big Man pulled the trigger. Prince Oro fell. The cost of a crown. The world didn't celebrate. The world didn't change. It just quieted. Smurf and Big Man returned home with silent triumph. The Havers met him with bowed heads. The factions of Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. signed treaties under Smurf's name. Every corridor, every port, every gold route, every offshore vault. They all fell under one name. King Smurf. After the ceremony, Big Man approached him. You the king of everything now. Smurf stared at the city lights. And yet, I still feel like that kid running home with a bag of chips. Big Man laughed. Yeah, but now the chips cost billions. Smurf didn't laugh. He whispered, I didn't want this life. Big Man answered, maybe not. But the world chose you. Smurf looked up at the night sky. Crown invisible. Weight unbearable. The road ahead wasn't peace. It was power. Responsibility. Enemies waiting for weakness. But for the first time, he didn't run from it. He embraced it. The global empire, the end. The throne room. Smurf had seen boardrooms before, small ones, cluttered ones, cheap ones, but nothing like the one he sat in now. Crystal chandelier, hand-carved table, an entire wall of screens showing maps, numbers, shipments, and international routes, all silent, all under his control. He had become King Smurf without even asking for the crown. The global empire, his network, spanned from Vancouver to Berlin, from Miami to Cape Town. Construction, shipping, medical supply, import-export, agriculture, entertainment. Every single thing above board, every dollar checked, balanced, and authenticated by teams of lawyers. And yet below the surface, his shadow empire was bigger. 10% off every load. 10% off every border crossing. 10% from every boss who wanted the luxury of being invisible. He didn't move product anymore, he moved influence. And influence was more powerful than money. But power came with one enemy he had never outrun. Time. And time was calling debt due. Big Man's return. The private jet door opened, and Big Man stepped out wearing a prison-issue sweatsuit, a fresh beard, and the same heavy eyes he had when they were kids dreaming about money. Smurf was waiting for him on the runway. Big Man smirked. Damn nigga, you really a king now. Smurf hugged him tight. Bro, you home. A line of armored SUVs rolled forward. Security didn't look like security, they looked like an army. Big Man whistled. Global Empire, huh? Empire, Smurf corrected. Global is just the scale. Big Man laughed. You still talking slick. You still chasing bags. Big Man shrugged. Nigga, I was born a bag chaser. Smurf's smile faded slightly, but he didn't comment. Big Man didn't notice. Or maybe he didn't care. Pressure from above. 3 nights later, in a penthouse overlooking the Atlantic, Smurf met with the Global Council, a circle of international bosses so far removed from street-level crime they might as well have been politicians. Actually, some were politicians. They didn't like Big Man being back. They said he was unpredictable, emotional, too hungry, and hungry men start wars. Smurf, said Madame Orlia, head of the European syndicates, you've built stability, balance, but your friend, your brother, he threatens that balance. Smurf's jaw tightened. He's not a threat, he's loyal. Loyal to you, she replied, not to the empire. Another voice spoke up, a Middle Eastern financier, soft-spoken, deadly. If the empire shakes, America shakes. If America shakes, the world follows. The message was clear. Control big man or remove him. Old habits. Big man loved freedom. Too much. Within a month he was buying up abandoned properties, opening new fronts without permits, making backdoor deals, talking too loud, pushing too much weight, recruiting too many young guns, sending too many messages to people Smurf didn't trust. He wasn't sloppy. Big man was too smart to be sloppy, but he was restless. He craved motion. He craved noise. He craved chaos. He craved the rush. Money talked again. And Big Man listened like it was religion. Smurf confronted him one night in the private rooftop garden overlooking the city. Big Man was smoking a cigar, counting numbers on his phone. Bro, Smurf said, this ain't what we built. Big Man didn't look up. You built peace, I didn't. You gonna bring heat to everything we created. Big Man leaned back, finally meeting his eyes. You changed, I didn't. Chapter 5, The Betrayal That Wasn't. 2 weeks later, Smurf was told Big Man was setting up a meeting with foreign buyers. Unauthorized. Unapproved. Dangerous. The council whispered. He's going to start a war. He's going to betray you. He's trying to build his own empire. Smurf didn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Not Big Man. Not his brother. But he had to see for himself. Smurf sent a drone team. Satellite feed. Heat scanners. What they found shocked him. Big Man wasn't plotting against him. He was setting up a school. A financial literacy center in the hood. A grant program. A free coding academy. A business incubator. He had been funneling money, dirty and clean, into building opportunities Smurf never even imagined. He wasn't building an empire. He was trying to build a future. Smurf sat in silence for an hour, watching the footage. Everything he thought he knew shifted. The ASSASSINS. Trouble didn't care about intentions. That same night, a jet from Mexico touched down. The old enemies. The ones who tried to kill Big Man. The ones Smurf thought he left behind. They wanted revenge. They moved like ghosts. 4 teams. 30 killers. A coordinated sweep. Big Man's temporary mansion. Smurf's headquarters. The financial center construction site. The rooftop garden. Smurf's security caught the first wave. But not the second. Or the third. By the time Smurf reached Big Man, the mansion was on fire, bullet holes everywhere. Inside, Big Man was fighting 3 men at once, bleeding, breath ragged but still standing. Smurf stepped in and finished the last one with a single shot. Big Man collapsed coughing. Smurf caught him. You good? Smurf whispered. Big Man grinned, blood between his teeth. King Smurf, you took long enough. The final decision. The council demanded blood. They wanted retaliation. Names. Bodies. A public message. Smurf stood before them, but this time he didn't bow. The empire doesn't need fear, he said. It needs stability, and stability begins with ending this cycle. What do you propose? Madame Orlia asked. We absorb the attackers. We buy their bosses. We restructure the entire line from Mexico to Canada. We end the old era permanently. And the price? Another asked. Peace, Smurf replied. Real peace. And Big Man, Orlia pressed. Smurf didn't flinch. He lives. Even if he becomes a problem. He won't, Smurf said. because I finally understand him. The Crown PASSED. 6 months later, the empire was bigger, quieter, cleaner. Big Man healed. He finished the schools. He opened 2 more. Kids filled computer labs. Businesses launched. Neighborhoods revived. Smurf watched proud. One night they met on the same rooftop where everything once cracked between them. Big Man looked out over the city lights. "You ever feel tired, bro?" he asked. Smurf nodded. "Every day." "You ready to be done?" Smurf exhaled. "Yeah." Big Man turned shocked. "For real?" "For real," Smurf said. "The Empire doesn't need a king anymore." Big Man stepped forward. "Then who runs it?" Smurf smiled. "You if you want it." Big Man froze. "You serious?" "You changed," Smurf said, "and the world needs your version more than mine." Big Man looked down at the city, then at his brother, then at the crown he never asked for. Finally he nodded. "I'll do it." Smurf extended his hand. Big Man didn't shake it. He pulled him into a hug. The global empire. Years later, Smurf lived quietly. A family, a home, a garden, peace. Big Man, now called the chairman, ran the global empire with less blood, more brains, and a heart Smurf always knew he had. The world changed. Neighborhoods changed. Lives changed. And the brothers who once chased a bag built something bigger than money. A legacy. A future. An empire built not on fear, but on vision. And that's how it ended. Or maybe, how it truly began.